Hello, my name is Ken Cassidy and this is a video on the history and principles of editing in cinema. Now, for clarification, when I was saying editing, I'm referring to, in general, the rearrangement of film or video used to create motion pictures. One of the first principles of editing I would like to look at is in-camera editing. In-camera editing is a technique where instead of the shots in a film being put into sequence in post-production, the director or cinematographer instead shoots the sequence in a strict order. The resulting edit in post-production isn't rather a rearranging or assembling of the film, but rather simply putting them in a chronological order. This, especially back in the days of film, saved on mass amounts of time in post-production, reassembling massive reels of footage. The drawbacks were that it had to be decided if time was to be balanced between planning motion picture or editing it afterwards. And a famous example of experiments with this technique is in Alfred Hitchcock's 1948 film Rope, in which Hitchcock attempts to, succeeds in creating a film using only 10 continuous shots.
Stupid, babbling drunk. I'm sorry, Rupert.
It's all right.
All right. If you really want to kill, you don't miss, not at that range. Of course he didn't want to kill you. He didn't know what he was doing, any more than he knew what he was saying. I didn't want anyone to know this, but he's been becoming an alcoholic, Rupert.
Brandon, will you step over there, please?
Philip's drunk, Rupert. Surely you don't take those nightmare ideas of his seriously.
Brandon, I'm tired. And in a way, I'm frightened, too. But I don't want to fence anymore.
Oh, what are you going to do?
I don't want to. But I'm going to look inside that chest.
Are you crazy?
I hope so. With all my heart, I hope I'm crazy.
Rupert, this has nothing to do with you.
I've got to.
Don't.
I've
Rupert.
got to look inside that chest.
All right. Go ahead and look. I hope you like what you see. No. Rupert, I couldn't believe it was true. Rupert, please.
Please, what?
Listen to me. Just listen. Let me explain.
However, Hitchcock later went on to drop many of these techniques, preferring post-production ones for the restrictions that in-camera editing placed on them. Just was useful to notice that in that particular segment we see an example of how a film suffers from that particular aspect of in-camera editing, in which that only one shot can be used, and transition is just one long physical turn that slows down the pace of it. Although this does work on a theatrical level, as is trying to do, it is worth noting that this is simply one of the techniques of in-camera editing, as it refers to anything that is done on the camera to affect the appearance. This may refer to black and white tinting. Short variation. For this is particularly important for an editor to liaison with the cinematographer. Short variation is the use of many different shot types throughout the scene. When we have multiple perspectives on one scene, such as in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, the famous shower scene, or in Quentin Tarantino's Bible recital scene in Pulp Fiction. When we have these multiple vantage points, why do we choose certain shots over the others, changing from low shot to close up, or an establishing to a high shot? Some of the reasons are that it helps convey the story or creating a sense of movement to engage the viewer in taking the audience along with the events occurring on screen, such as in the scene from Pulp Fiction. Here, there is a transition from the moment characters go from being perceived as being on a similar playing field to where the character of Jules takes complete control of the situation.
I didn't get your name. I got yours, Vincent, right? But I never got your...
My name's Pitt, and your ass ain't talking your way out of this shit.
No. I just want you to know how... I just want you to know how sorry we are that things got so fucked up with us and Mr. Wallace. When we got into this thing with the best intentions, really. I never...
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? I didn't mean to do that. Please, continue. You were saying something about best intentions? What's the matter? Oh, you were finished. Oh, well, allow me to retort. What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
What?
What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
What?
English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Yes.
Then you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Describe what Marcellus Wallace looks like.
What?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
He's black.
Go on.
He's bald.
Does he look like a bitch?
What?
Does he look like a bitch?
No!
Then why you try to fuck him like a bitch, Brett?
He didn't.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Brett. You tried to fuck him. And Marcellus Wallace don't like to be fucked by anybody except Mrs. Wallace. You read the Bible, Brett?
Yes.
Oh, there's this passage I got memorized. Sort of fits this occasion. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
The move from wide to medium close shots builds the momentum towards the final event in the scene, and Jules' importance and control in the scene over all events, revolving around his words and movement around the room. Following the action is a very simple technique in which, as the name suggests, the scene is edited using camera motions. The film edits the footage using camera motions to follow the events that occur in the film. It's edited using camera motions. The film edits the footage using camera motions to follow the events that occur in the film. So follow the events that occur in the scene. This technique has been used over the years to inject energy and quicken the pace of films. When this is pace paired with stiller shots beforehand, a sense of tension and release can be achieved, and when paired with other moving shots of the scene in concession, as is often done in action films nowadays, there's more of a chaotic and wild feel to the action. The overall effect gives action more depth, commonly seen in multi-camera productions. In modern films, as the mobility of modern cameras makes it so that it's cheaper to film one scene from many different angles, which is critical to an editor having many different reels to choose from. Technique can also be used in single camera productions, although this is obviously more time consuming. Techniques which lend themselves to following the action of characters or events include panning to open wide shots to reveal the extent of the action, and then quickly cutting to, say, a closer shot of the fight or explosion. Tilting is another technique that lends itself. This technique is sometimes used for closed space, however, is closed space, as it can show a power struggle between two characters in a domestic environment. This works by the most powerful of the two characters controlling the direction of the tilt, and this can be seen in the final Harry Potter movie.
You were right. When you told Professor Snape that one was failing you, it will always fail. I killed Snape. But what if the one never belonged to Snape? What if its allegiance was always to someone else? Come on, Tom. Let's finish this the way we started it. Together.
Tracking is perhaps the most recognisable of all modern techniques. This is quite literally following the characters. It is a very common technique in modern cinema, seen especially in higher budget productions that can afford dollies to keep up with the continuous action, although simple handheld tracking can be seen, such as in films like the Blair Witch Project. Manipulation of diegetic time and space. Although this technique is mostly associated with the montage technique and the speeding up of time, moving through many spaces, giving the impression of moving over a large period of time, but displayed in a matter of seconds. This also refers to give the impression of time being slowed down. The most famous example of montage has to be the training montage scene from Rocky. The events in the film all being connected through the reoccurrence of the main character, the overall theme of training and progressing forward, and the rather over-the-top 80s motivational music connects all these scenes and gives the audience the impression that the main character is training and progressing toward his build-up in this training sequence. A slightly more ridiculous example of manipulation of diegetic time and space can be seen in the film Jumper. In this scene, we see the two main characters involved in a fight that stretches across the continents, all connected through sharing a similar theme, and sequenced together in such a way as to give the impression that these characters are moving across the world in a matter of seconds.
Don't. Bad move!
Chechnya.
Another ridiculous but beautiful use of manipulation of diegetic time and space is slow motion, and it's usually used to either zone in on particular action or emphasize the drama of a particular situation. And like most manipulation of time and space, it's most often found in the action genre. The example I'm going to show is one of the most iconic and ridiculous examples from The Untouchables. The history of editing film and video. Film and video editing refers to, in general, two methods of filmmaking. The first is the original analog editing of cutting and splicing films to amongst other things, to achieve the end picture, with video referring to everything after, from the first use of magnetic tape. The history of film editing is a story of the organic evolution and realization of multiple techniques, slowly developing into more sophisticated and enhanced methods of storytelling. There is a debate in the film community about what the first movie was, as the illusion of moving pictures created by machines like Christian Huygens' Magic Lantern have been around since the 1650s. However, with later developments in the 19th century, making these illusions more sophisticated, with machines such as the Beliscope, Neotrope, and the Paranoscope, all bringing these illusions up to date. Further progress was made when photographs were sequenced in these machines, with Edward Muybridge created the first animated sequence of photographs in real time. In my opinion, however, the birth of film is to be credited to the introduction of celluloid photographic film, along with the invention of the motion picture cameras the first projection of the cinematograph camera created by the Lumiere brothers, Auguste and Louis. Lumiere's first demonstrated this film in 1895 with the two workers leaving the Lumiere factory and an arrival of a train. Although these contained no technical editing and simplistic narratives, what they did do was show the world the possibilities and power of film. An arrival of a train in particular being legendary for its influence on the audience, scaring half of them as they feared a train was truly rolling towards them, and inspiring one of them to embrace the film in a way that no one had ever done before. Georges Méliès was the son of a Dutch shoemaker who had settled in Paris and spent his early life developing his craft as a pioneer and magician, and between the years of 1896 and 1913 he directed over 500 films. Although the films suffer from a lack of plot and advanced camera techniques, the mastering of the editing process and of manually rearranging film to manipulate footage, as well as pioneering many special effects that he had developed from his time as a magician. He is considered the first editor and the godfather of special effects in science fiction films. Another pioneer is Edwin Porter, but was crucial in the progression of realism away from Méliès' extreme fantasies. One of the most important techniques he pioneered would be parallel editing, as can be seen in The Great Train Robbery. It gives several points of view which were followed simultaneously, giving a wider insight to the events and being extremely effective, creating dramatic tension around the story. D.W. Griffith transformed the film industry and film itself. He did this with one film, Birth of a Nation. In Birth of a Nation, Griffith consolidated not only many of the techniques which developed beforehand, but pioneered his own. One of these, which can be directly pointed to, is, as a direct descendant of Porter's, is two groups of people moving towards one location, building suspense. Now a commonplace theme in film. When this was first used, it had extreme effect on the audience. Another pioneer in film with racist undertones was The Jazz Singer, which is considered one of the first sound pictures and was the first time audiences were able to hear the voice of a character that appeared in the film. Hearing Al Johnson singing through synchronized audio and visuals. Progressions in editing from the Moviola from Moviola to the Steinbeck to flatbed editor to eventually in 1956 the introduction of magnetic tape, and then 1989 made it easier for editors to rearrange film, and first led to editors being more adventurous and making it easier to do once extremely difficult technique. Almost all editing is now done nowadays via digital editing systems such as Adobe Premiere.